Hi, I'm Stephanie Hirado Scott. I chose governance and policy decisions and leadership conflicts as my topic. Transparency for educational administration, fostering trust and integrity in school leadership. One thing that's really important is being honest and forthright with your staff. It's important to not misrepresent information. Providing false or misleading information about academic progress can severely impact students' decision making. Transparency in communication fosters a sense of trust, essential for a positive educational atmosphere. It's important that administration principals make their teachers aware that we don't inflate grades, we don't give grades when students don't deserve them, that affects our data, affects the child's learning, that in a not in a positive way. Withholding crucial information, not sharing crucial information with your students as well as your staff can affect their safety. As an educational leader, we need to ensure that we have updates that go out to parents, to teachers about changes, and communicate it effectively. I've been at a school where text messages are sent out to parents and teachers with a weekly schedule with things, anything that changes. We're having a field trip, those types of things going out so that people are aware of what is going on. Lack of clarity. Being ambiguous in your communication about rules and decisions can lead to your teachers being confused, your students being confused. To prevent this, be transparent. If you're the administration, send out an email. Encourage your teachers to communicate with students clearly if that needs to be done through email or having another party in a meeting with a student so that we make sure that everybody understands. Broken promises. Failure to follow through on commitments erodes trust in educational leaders. When students perceive administration as unreliable, that diminishes their confidence. This I've seen many times that we need to, as administration, as teachers, to follow through with what we've said and to not make promises. Those things happen, life happens, and we can't always deliver on a promise. Excuse me. It's important to make sure that we thoroughly communicate and follow through with what we have said. Spinning information. Presenting data in a selective manner can obscure negative aspects and mislead students. This can be ethical because we need to be honest about our tests, our data, our students' progress or lack thereof. Spinning the information is only going to hurt the students and the school. The next thing is upholding fairness in policies and procedures. Differential enforcement. When school policies are applied, inconsistency based on factors such as race, popularity creates a perception of bias. We need to make sure that when we're doling out punishments, that that the crime fits the punishment. Punishment fits the crime. And then we need to make sure that if one student has done something and another student has done something, that they both receive that equal punishment for the same action. Students know they will see that you are not being fair. Ignoring violations. Failing to address student misconduct undermines respect for school policies. Again, we need to be fair. There needs to be a maintenance of this is the dress code and we're following it. It doesn't mean one student should get marked for it and another. Everybody needs to follow the same rules that we have, along with teachers. Arbitrary decision making. Making disciplinary decisions without transparent criteria fosters a perception of unfairness among students and stakeholders. We need to make sure that our students understand what the rules are, what our expectations are of them, as well as our teachers. They need to know that this is what is expected of them, and Therefore, they will be able to follow through with that. If we're not clear in that, then there can be room for mistakes, for excuses. Creating unwritten rules. Enforcing expectations that lack clear documentation leads to confusion among students and a feeling of bias. This also is among teachers. We can't be biased. Everybody needs to be treated the same, and teachers notice this as well. We need to communicate clearly what's expected. If we have unwritten rules per se, then our school climate will not be positive. Our teachers and our students will know this, and it affects our relationships as a whole. Avoiding conflicts of interest. Favoritism. Granting preferential treatment to students or to staff due to personal connections disrupts equity in education. It can lead to resentments among students and diminish their trust in the administration's fairness. As the leader, we need to be transparent in our decisions. And when there is a sense of clarity among teachers and students, there will not be a disruption. When there is favoritism to be seen, students notice this, teachers notice this. It, again, affects your culture. Outside interests. Personal business ventures or affiliations can cloud judgment when making decisions that affect students. Administrators must ensure objectivity and avoid situations where personal interests could pose conflict. We need to not bring personal business to school. We want to make clear decisions that are what's best for our teachers and for our students. Nepotism. Showing favoritism towards friends and family within the school can lead to erosion of trust and promote a toxic culture. Policies must be in place to ensure all students receive equal treatment regardless of their personal relationships. Even if somebody is related, it needs to be a professional environment. We need to treat each other with professionalism. Hypocrisy. When administrators' actions contradict the ethical standards they promote, it damages their credibility. When you contradict what you say, go back on your word, or you do something where the students feel they've been slighted, that they feel your decision isn't ethical, they will notice, and it damages if they think you're an honest person from there on out. Lack of respect. Disrespectful behavior towards students, staff, and parents can be a negative school climate. It's important that we, as the leaders, promote mutual respect for staff, students, parents, to show that there can be an environment where we can collaborate and be supportive of each other, even if we don't all agree on the same thing. Dishonesty. Engaging in dishonest behavior undermines the moral authority of educational leaders. It's important not to lie. Be honest. Being caught in a lie, then, and no punishment being had for it, can affect how the staff and the teachers see their leaders. Unfair treatment of staff. Demonstrating bias in dealing with teachers can discourage morale and foster mistrust. Fair treatment is essential for maintaining positive work environment conducive to student success. When you feel that other people are treated differently than you, it is for sure noticed, as being a teacher once. And it's imperative that you treat your teachers the same, that everybody is given the same guidelines to follow and is held accountable for that. Failure to acknowledge mistakes. If we've made a mistake, we need to be honest about it. And that's the only way that we can show a positive example. Impact on school environment, erosion of trust. When educational leaders misrepresent the information or fail to communicate clearly, trust erodes among students, parents, and staff. This creates a climate of suspicion, hinder collective efforts, If students do not trust their administration, they're not going to go to them with problems. They will. I've heard students say before, well, it doesn't matter what I say, they're not going to believe me. So you have eroded that trust between them. So it is important that you communicate clearly and that you are honest with staff, parents, and students. Increased anxiety and fear. A lack of transparency and honesty from school administration can lead to heightened anxiety and fear among students as well as teachers. An example of this could be as a administrator telling a teacher you need to speak with them, not telling them what it's about, and being kind of secretive about what you want to talk about puts that teacher on the defensive. They are unsure of what's going on, and whether it's good or bad, you are creating an anxiety for them instead of giving them a heads up. Decreased student engagement. When administration is not there, if students don't know your name in elementary school, when they don't feel like you are a part of the school, that affects your atmosphere. It's important to be present, to participate in the school activities, and also include the community in that. Perpetuation of inequity. Unfair practices and biased decision making can reinforce existing inequities within the school system. Such inequities may affect academic opportunities, disciplinary actions, and access to resources. A lack of ethical leadership, damage to school culture. And all of these, when you are not practicing being an administrator ethically, it undermines your school culture. You have a toxic environment. Students know, well, that teacher, that principal does not have my back. When your students and staff feel that way, it then creates a culture that is non-existent. You need to make sure that your students and staff feel that they can trust you and that you care about what and how they feel, and that you do not have a personal agenda. Legal and reputational risks. Failure to uphold transparency and ethical standards can expose schools to legal risks and damage their reputation within the community. Legal challenges resulting from unfair practices can strain resources and undermine public confidence in educational leadership. When we're not being transparent, we're not upholding standards, our school is then at risk. That will leave you open to legal issues, and your reputation could be on the line as well. It is so important as a administrator in education to be transparent with both your students and your staff. Students can't always know everything, but if you are as honest and forthright with them as you can be, they will respect that. They are a lot more mature sometimes and understanding than we give them credit for. And we want them to be able to trust us as well as our teachers to be able to come to us when they have a problem. When we have staff that feels that they cannot trust their administration, it creates a problem. There isn't trust. They don't want to go to you for help. And we need to create an environment where everyone feels safe, everyone feels accepted, and we need to be clear and honest with our staff, our students, and our parents.